Hi, Sandy here. I just finished my 20th magazine type of glue book. Actually, it's my 22nd if you count these two big scrapbooks that I have filled up. This is Randomness 3. It's just random stuff. I like to have themes for my books, but sometimes I do random books because then I can use up all the stuff that's been accumulating that don't really go in my other themes. So this is just a calendar page, and I made that into the cover. I used to use my front page as the cover, but with the things glued on, and then I slide it onto the bookcase. They would catch on things in the next books, and the things I had glued on would come loose. So now I'm using smooth calendar pages or scrapbook paper as my covers. This is duct tape. It's just white duct tape and Sharpie marker. I write the title on the side. And I'd make 25 sheets of paper covered on both sides, so most of my books are 50 pages. This is a piece of scrapbook paper glued to the back of the calendar page. When I get the 25 sheets, 50 pages all together and finished, then I put them together and clamp them together, and I glue the end of it and let that dry completely, and then I take it out to my garage and I drill holes about every ½ an inch, and then I sew it up with some heavy string. Then I put the cover on. So this is the first page. I have this book that I got at it's an inexpensive book. You can color some mandalas, and I colored this one and cut it out, put on a glue book page, and added this stuff. We'll just flip through. I make, for the random, things can kind of go together. This is like a Girl Scout. I don't know what she is, some kind of a scout helping a dog. So I went with kind of a nature theme on this page. And then this is kind of a kitchen theme. But some pages I just mix everything together. This was totally mixed together. I like vintage photographs that I cut out of magazines or anywhere I can find them. You know, they don't have to be real photos, just cut out of, just whatever. Fashion stuff, and scraps of paper I glued on here. I made a pink page. I made a kid's page. This is from a catalog of dolls that I found. That somebody was selling their old doll collection and made a catalog, and I found it at a thrift shop and I cut it up, and so I have a lot of dolls. I have a lot of car pictures. I found a book of cars and I cut out the pictures. This is from a paint ad. This is from work. It's from the fire extinguisher where they inspect it every month. This is all mix and match, just some birds and some newsprint and bugs and various things. And I went kind of for a black and white vintage feel on this one. There's Audrey Hepburn and a vintage car. And then this is from a juice ad, I think, and I kind of went with an orange theme on this page. I've had these two cut out for quite a while, and I'm glad I finally used those. This is just some things on a page. Sometimes I'll take scraps and I'll just glue them onto a piece of colored piece of paper and put it aside, and then I'll just glue stuff onto the page. This is this I cut out of a magazine. It was all this, not these. All this was a scene that they had set up and photographed, and so that was cut out of a magazine. This is a taper candle, and this is out of a book of bird drawings that I had, and with there's a butterfly on that page. And since there's peaches, I happen to have this peaches, so I put those together. This I've had a while. I really like this. This is how it was in the magazine. No head, no feet. I was on the edge of the page, and I just liked her. She's a handy girl, and I'm a handy girl. So I put this page together. I used, this is computer paper that I splattered watercolor on. I made like 40 sheets of it on that day that I did that. This is an ad for Kellogg's cereal. And so I made a little bit of a breakfast page. This is something I cut out of a magazine. It's just like this. I didn't glue it together like that. But then I added this stuff to it. And I like bicycles. This is some scrapbook paper. This is just a scenery, and then I glued a bicycle I cut out of a magazine page onto it and added this. This is just some random stuff I put together, totally unrelated, except the colors. I think the colors look pretty good together. This is one of my favorite pages in the book. It's very vintage and it's very cute, and I had used a lot of scraps of vintage paper and made Franken paper, which is a bunch of mixed together scraps and glued onto a page for a background. And so I really like this page. This was sent to me by a friend of mine in Happy Mail. So what are you going to do with it? Make a page with it. Yeah. So I glued it onto this print paper and added a few things. There's a bird and a stamp. This is from Birds and Blooms magazine. This is the back of the scrapbook sheet of scrapbook paper here, and it's white. So I added a strip of scrapbook paper over here. This was the pattern of it. I didn't make it like that. And just added some things to add some color. There was a couple of deer and a fox. I think that's a fox. And then I've just got so much stuff. I've got all kinds of landscaping, and this is wicker furniture. I have porch scenes. I have flowers. I have animals. I have cars. So I just mix and match a bunch of stuff and made a nice page in here. I like that page. I like most of my pages. This is a greeting card, and I've just cut out of a magazine. And then this is something I had. I glued that onto it. And then this was a lady I glued out. She's holding her purse, cut out. And this is a big diamond, and this says, "Go confidently in the direction of your dreams." There's a perfume bottle I added. I didn't add a lot to this page, like 3 things besides the main subject. And then I've had this elephant for a while. Finally got him used up and put a dog on his head. Circus performers sit on elephants' heads, so why not his friend the dog? I bought some construction paper at a thrift shop or somewhere at a rummage sale, and it was old, very old, and it was only 10 cents for the pack. This is not a stuck-on sticker. That's the original packaging. It was a sleeve wrapped around it, and I cut out the packaging on it, and I just liked that. And I just mixed and matched some buildings and a butterfly and flowers and stamps. Went for a vintage theme on this page. I've got this lady and a vintage car and vintage phones. I don't know if they had phones in her day. Maybe they did. This was pretty basic. You know what? No, that's not it. I had lost a bird on a circle, but that's not it. But this must have been on this page, so I'll get that glued on there someplace. Yeah, right there will do. Okay. Seems like every time I look through these books, there's something that's coming loose. I have to glue it back down, but that's all right. So I just threw together. This is a parking ticket. And it's just a warning. We didn't have to pay a fine. And this lady looking like, I don't care. And there's the car. So we've had some flooding in our area, and this was a picture in the newspaper, and I just thought that photo had a lot of character. Water over roadway, road closed. It just looked really interesting. So I added this bear with the umbrella, and I had this blue cloud, and so I inked it up to make it stormy, and then I added a pond. Then I cut these girls out of a catalog. You notice they got matching backpacks. Probably the clothes too, things they sell in the catalog. But I just like this picture, so I created an icy theme. There's snowmen and hot chocolate, ice skates, and a sled. And then this one, these are 2 vases of lilacs or whatever they are, on Franken paper, green background Franken paper. Some birds, and this vintage postcard is a reprint, not real. I don't have much real vintage stuff. It's all reprints, but that doesn't matter. And then this square right here was a feature in a magazine, and it was about peacocks, peacock prints and stuff. And I just liked it just the way it was, so I cut it out and put that on there. And then I added these purple flowers to kind of pick up the purple right here. I got this ticket that says, "Be yourself, everyone else is taken." And then I've got lots and lots of birds, but I don't have any peacocks. So I printed this from Pinterest and glued that on there. And then I made a vintage page. Here's a cute little girl standing on a wicker chair in a pretty little Victorian bedroom. And just Victorian music and pretty teacups. I did a steampunk page. I had these 3 images. I have a phone app called Happy Color. And these were 3 of the pictures that I colored, and I saved them to my phone, and then I printed those out. And I needed something else to fill in the page, so I found this cat on Pinterest and printed him out. And added some Victorian type technological things like a clock and an air balloon, you know, their latest technology. Then I had some romantic homes magazines, and there were several photos of flea markets, you know, vintage things, old things, displays, and so I made a page of flea market pictures. And then I had this purple paper that we watercolored, had a lot of purple on it, so I added this with the purple edge, and just some random other things. These are like little balls that I cut out, and some purple rain boots, and a porch scene. And this I got out of a magazine. It's very colorful. Can't really see exactly what it is. Looks like a human with a rainbow. And I had some colored little paper strips, so here's a good opportunity to use those up, so I glued those on. And these are stickers. They're covered with a butterfly print to form the shape of a butterfly. And then I've had this thoughtful for quite a while, so I got that used up. This is one of my favorite pages in the book. It's just so pink and sweet and cute. This is an envelope. This was cut out of a magazine. I don't know how clearly you can see. It's like a stack of fabric with some scissors tied up with a ribbon. It's all got pretty pink roses on it. I love this cute little kitty. This is some gift wrap that I got at a thrift shop. And all I did to this page was cut out the gift wrap and glue it down, and then I had this scrap of button scrap paper, and I added that. Pages can be super simple or as complicated as you want. Whatever inspires you. There's no rules. That's why I like the random scrapbooks, because, well, Victorian's my favorite, but I like to do the random ones because you can just go crazy. This is out of a Dick, Jane, and Sally book, and it came with some stickers. So there's Spot and a ball and a train set, and I put some newsprint behind it. I thought about cutting out just the bicycle, but I just like the picket fence and the old house, the vintage style house. I just like the scene in the back, and I like that it said "Run, Spot, run with me, run fast with me." That's classic Dick, Jane, and Sally. So I wanted to leave that on there. So that was not too complicated. Basically, it's just a full page with a few little things added to it. This page, it was watercolored paper and a lot of green and yellow and a little orange. So I kind of went with some green. I found this picket fence. I don't know if it's really green or just the shadows make it look green. Then I had this plant. It's green, obviously. This is not really a lot of green. There's a green tub of flowers, but it's like, this is kind of a botanical, flowery page. So that goes good with that. And this is a tag. And this is made to look like a seed packet, not really. And I added a spider and a dragonfly. And I started out with this Franken paper that I had made. It's all orange. And then I came across this lady, and she looks pretty orange. And so I started adding orange things. I found an orange car, an orange sticker, an orange $10 bill, an orange bird, and I like that. I have a Barbie calendar from last year, and the pages have very fancy drawings of Barbie, with some other things they draw on the same page. So I just cut out Barbie and these two things, and this was some background paper I already had, and I just glued it on there. Very simple and very nice page. I've cut out this stack of dish towels or whatever they are, and I liked that. It's colorful. Here's a card from a Monopoly game, a cat. This is just something I found at a thrift shop, and this is the back of a calendar where they have pictures of all the 12 months, and I cut that out. I didn't go too crazy with this. I started with the 3 dogs and put in the cottage, and I think the colors go pretty good between the 2 of those. And then I just added some random things, a playing card, an old thing in a magazine where you can mail away for something. You don't see those much anymore. Some round stickers, a grasshopper, and a snail. And then this is kind of another flea market page. It's a lot of pretty vintage style things on display, and I added a couple of Boyd's Bears that I cut out of a catalog. This is a Boyd's Bunny and Boyd's Bears, the figurines. And then for some extra cuteness, I added this little girl instead of more vintage stuff, because it goes very well together, I think. And I don't try to match the pages, totally different thing on this page than this. Sometimes I'll do a 2-page layout, but mostly I just do 1 page at a time, and however it lands, whatever's beside it, it was 1 page at a time. This is from, it's a vintage ads for men's raincoats. It was reprinted in Good Old Days magazine, and I had this paper with rosy pearls and lace on it, and it's just the border on the paper. It's like what you buy to print out newsletters and stuff from your computer. And I just glued this on here. I didn't add anything else, and I don't think it needs anything else. I think this vintage just brings out a feeling in you. Wow, that's really neat, and look at those prices. That's all it needs. And then I had this cute little boy. He looks kind of ornery. He reminds me of one of the, God, what are those kids? It's that old show. I don't remember. There was Buckwheat and Darla. I don't remember the boy's name, but that's not him. Could be, but I don't think it is. I just like that picture, so I added a tough-looking dog. I think the dog looks good match for that boy. And then I just added this house from a magazine and a couple of bugs. It's a very boyish page. then I had this owl. This paper on both sides is also like printer paper that you would print a newsletter or something on, and it's got a faint flower garden scene on it, but I like the way it looks in the background. So I had this owl, and then I just added a few little things, and that's that. And then for the back page, I found a piece of double-sided scrapbook paper. Most of my scrapbook paper is white on the back side, but I found a piece of double-sided, and I just used that for the cover. So that's that. And I wanted to show you, these are all of my scrapbooks. I've done, this is number 20 of the magazine style. And then I've done 2 of these. These are 8.5 by 11 pages. And these are about 16 by 11. And these 2 I call my Victorian treasures because they're covered in Victorian stuff. And these are just other things. I'll show you each one. Let me get my ruler here. I've just reached 1 foot. Plus these 2 big ones over here is more than 1 foot. Oh, and I weighed them, and they weigh 30 pounds. So I got 30 pounds of glue books that I've made. And then this really gets me excited. Look at this. Ugh. Look at all those pages I have made. And 20 books right here. Most of them are 50 pages. So that is 1,000 pages, 1,000 pages. Plus there's about 25, about 50, a little more than 50 in those other 2. So I'm over 1,100 glue book pages that I've made in the last like 4 years. So I'm going to show you, this is the Randomness that I just flipped through. This is my Randomness 2 book. I'm not going to completely flip through, I'm just going to show you a few pages. Just more of what was in the other book. This is my Randomness 1. This is the lid of a Texas Roadhouse takeout box, and I drew all over it and colored it. And that's not the typical thing you would put in a glue book, not necessarily, but I did. This is one of my first pages I made when I was just learning how to glue book. Both of these were some of my first pages. Okay, and then this one, I made a trash journal, and I've got flip throughs of all of these, and I went through my recycling bin, and I found a stovetop box, comics, map, pizza or pie box, pumpkin pie box. Little Debbie cupcakes, or maybe those are Hostess, green beans, junk mail, tea bag, just all kinds of junk. And I went through and I covered every page. Most of my books are 50 pages, but a lot of these had thick cardboard, like from cereal boxes and stuff, so it got pretty thick, so I only did 40 pages, 30 or 40 in this book. So I covered each page with the trash. There's a Kleenex box and some coupons, and then I went through and just added a few decorative items to each page. And this is my only book that I did pockets in. This is one of my tags that I make, and it goes in a pocket. So this is my trash book, and this was kind of fun to make. And I love to make borders to decorate my scrapbooks. So I went ahead and put a few of my borders in there just for no reason. This was kind of a learning experience, and I learned, like this one, I just glued a piece of paper around the edges for a pocket. And I learned that you don't do that. You make a pocket and then you glue it down, because and I had to put a pretty small tag in there because it's hard to get stuff in and out of a pocket like that. So you make the pocket and then you glue it down. So that's my trash journal. That was fun. This is vintage people. This is Victorian people, people from the 50s, people from all eras. This was kind of fun. Here's a vintage style Reynolds wrap ad. And not just people. I made sure I had people on every page, but then I added other things. And this was another people. That was vintage people. This is people. I did this one with my daughter, and there's kids and stuff. This is what I did with her. Oh, I gotta let the dogs out. I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. So this was my Christmas 2018 book, and I just collected a lot of Christmas things. A lot from old Victorian catalog or calendars. But any day and age. So that's my Christmas from last year. And then we buy Mickey Mouse calendars every year. And I have all kinds of Mickey Mouse stuff. So I got to use it with somewhere. So I made a Mickey Mouse book. This one is, Anne of Green Gables. I love Anne of Green Gables. I bought a book, a children's book with pictures, and I cut that up. This is from there. I downloaded several photos from Pinterest of Anne, and I had them printed. So this was a good book to make. Anne of Green Gables. So I'm looking. There's my daughter and I. We love Gilbert. We love Gilbert. Okay. And then en masse. I don't know if you ever heard of en masse. That's where you go through. This is all roses. This is all bicycles. Some people do a whole page of A's, B's. They go through the alphabet. Cars. Watches, and I had this full page picture, goes perfect with the watch page. Dishes, tea set. And then I did one of every color. This is a black and white, brown, yellow, red, purple, blue, benches. So that's my en masse book. I did this one with my brother. He loves Cars the movie. And we just glued a bunch of pictures of cars. He had some car magazines. Glued in a bunch of pictures of cars, and then added Cars the movie stuff, at least one to every page, mixed with other cars. And we also did this book, pictures out of his Cars magazines. And he helped. He's got learning disabilities, and he set up a lot of these pages, and I just glued them together. I rearranged things a little bit better to make it look better. But he did this. We had fun working on this together. Okay, and then brides. When we were doing glue books, somebody called me and said, "Sandy, I have a big stack of magazines. You want to have them?" Okay, I'll come get them. There was 3 brides magazines, and my daughter and I did this one. And to make it fancy, I used some decorative scissors on the edge of each page. I just used white computer paper, and then when I sewed, I added some beads and some pink thread to make it fancy. And most of the pages are just full-page brides ads. Pretty. A lot of these pages are so beautiful, and it was pretty easy to do this. This one has more than 50 pages. But we just took all the full-page bride pages and made a book out of it. And then this one is dogs and cats. It's all dogs and cats. Dog and cat on every page. I'm going to do an animal book eventually with animals. mix in some of them other animals that I have collected besides dogs and cats. And then there's Victorian 1. I think this was one of my first books. I used a lot of pictures from Victoria Magazine, Victorian Homes Magazine, vintage calendars. Here's Victorian 2, more of the same. Victorian 3, more of the same. And here's one of my favorites. I bought Holly Hobby calendars for like 5 or 7 years back when I first had my first apartment 43 years ago. And I just saved them. I liked the pictures. I didn't want to get rid of them. So I put Holly Hobby on every page in this book. And Mary Engelbrett, I like her too. I had a book with some pictures and a calendar and stuff. And I didn't have enough, so like this is a 2-page, and there's only one in Mary Engelbrett. So this is my Mary Engelbrett book. And then Victorian decorating. I had so many pictures of pretty rooms from my Victorian decorating magazines. I thought, man, I'll never get them used up. And so I just glued them all in this book. and I like the book, and I'm glad I did it, except I'm not glad I did it because then I ran out of my pretty room pages. But I recently found some romantic homes magazines, so now I have a lot of pretty rooms. I like putting pretty rooms in my books. And then this is I call these two Victorian treasures. And they're 16 by 11, and I just covered all the pages. I'm not good at gluing along the seams here. Things come loose, but that's alright. So this is my first Victorian treasures. And this one is taller. And my second Victorian treasures. So now I'm getting started on my 2019 Christmas glue book. It'll be the magazine style. And it's going to go very fast because I've been collecting everything in a big envelope, and it's all together. I'm not looking through all of my collection of stuff, looking here and there and there and there. It's all right there, and it's kind of scattered around on my table, but it's going to go pretty fast because everything's all together right there. So thanks for watching, and hope you enjoyed it. Bye.